The greater good.
I was excited when I found out that my friend Yeti was going to be at Mining Disrupt 2024. If you don't know who Yeti is, I've done interviews with him in the past. You also might know him as team leadership at Dynex. His name is Clifford Mapp, and I had a chance to walk around with him, do a nice casual interview at Mining Disrupt. So if you want a more formal interview, I will leave a link at the very end in the card so you can click on that and check that interview out. But I was excited because I finally got to meet him in person. Dynex was very generous, invited us to some dinner, and we got a chance to sit down and talk with all of these different content creators, very cool people in the space. That was very exciting. It was a fun night, and I was very excited that I got a chance to do a nice casual walkthrough interview with Yeti, and we caught up a little bit on what is going on with Dynex right now. So without further ado, enjoy this casual walkthrough of Mining Disrupt and enjoy the chat that I had with Yeti.
Hey everybody, Greater Good Mining here. I'm here with YTri Crypto, aka Clifford Mapp, aka Dynex Leadership. He is wearing the Dynex shirt representing the Dynex team here at Mining Disrupt in Miami 2024. So we are at Terra Hosting's booth. We're gonna do a little walk around and just kind of chat. So do you want to take a little walk with me, Yeti?
Yeah, sure, let's go for it.
All right, let's do it. So Yeti and I have had an interview before, and he talks a lot about what Dynex does and how it can basically take quantum computing, neuromorphic quantum computing, and solve real-world problems. If you want to see that kind of interview, we've got one already. This is going to be a fun, casual walk-around. So I've been watching on Twitter. You guys have some really cool new things that are going on, and they kind of hit close home to me because I was in the healthcare field before I started getting into crypto mining. One of the things I saw was Dynex is able to kind of help with staffing issues in hospitals. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. So basically the current way that most staffing algorithms work are practically, you know, probably 30, 40 years old these days, right? They're algorithms that were built for a different time and a different era. And what we're doing is we're taking that problem, optimizing it to its full potential, where it can take benefits from, you know, things like how many hours has somebody done quite recently, right? So whether they're overworked or they might not be able to perform at their optimal levels because they have pulled so many hours. You know, realistically, it takes into effect a hell of a lot more variables than existing ones, and that's really where Dynex shines, right? The more variables you give it, fundamentally, the easier it becomes for it to solve those problems. So cool. It's a really interesting new field, really.
That's very cool, and like I said, being in the healthcare industry myself, I can attest to exhaustion from badly put together schedules, being short-staffed. It's a big problem, and I'm glad that Dynex is using, you know, Dynex Solve to try and help real-world problems like that, because it really does hit home, you know, to me. So some other things I've seen. You guys are working closely now with Octa Space. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a partnership that's been ongoing for a while now, but really now we're starting to push what that partnership is, right? We're not just announcing a name and then never doing anything, right? That was never the original concept between the partnership between us and Octa. Right. We want to do actual real-world partnership type, you know, technology. So quite recently we deployed our very first container to Octa, which has all the Dynex system pre-built, ready for you. You'll be able to basically download it onto an Octa container, run it decentralized, and then effectively code Dynex on Octa Space's technology. And that's only the beginning, right? We're now looking at pre and post processing of, say, render data, for example, right? So we could enhance a photo, and then Octa could potentially take that into a video concept, right? Whereby they would be able to, you know, use that material as something to create a video. Then you've also got the option of, and I don't know if you've seen it, but recently I released some code around a maze pathway finding. right? And so what my concept was that's a 2D image that's been solved by Dynex, but what if we could send it off to Octa, turn it 3-dimensional, turn it into a video, and actually have you walk through the maze as it's solving it.
That's cool.
So pre and post processing.
Nice.
It's a really cool concept, and I'm just starting to realize just how much we can probably do in that realm. Right? Like, it really does benefit.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And so the next question I wanted to ask, and I'm mostly like looking at, I follow you guys on Twitter a lot.
Yep.
So I'll leave the Twitter account and maybe a link to the Discord too, and make sure that people can see all this stuff too. But I follow a lot on Twitter, and I saw you guys were working on the 8 queen problem. And that's very interesting to me. It sounds like it's an old problem that's been used to try and help with like gauging how powerful the computation is. Is that, I might not be saying it all right, but can you explain more about that too?
Yeah, sure. So the 8 queen problem is actually a really quite old problem, right? But it's actually quite a little cool showcase piece, right? To show how computation can actually solve a problem, right? So take a chessboard, take 8 queens, put them on a board so that no queen can be took in the next move, right? It's actually computationally, it's fairly straightforward, right? But in a quantum state, you start getting into very different numbers and different ways that it will think about that, right? So you need to put constraints in there so that it can understand where the queens have to be. So you have to set the rules effectively, right? And what we found was actually it's pretty light, whether it's traditional or quantum, but it's just a cool little idea, right? And another part of the game theory stuff that I've been playing with Dynex, right? So first we had Sudoku, then it was maze pathway finding. Now we've obviously done the 8 queen problem, which is like chess. Yeah. My next option is, so we've just been messing around with natural language processing, or NLP, as part of our very first LLM. We're going to make the very first quantum LLM, and that is going to really change a lot of things. So you might be able to then go and play a game of chess against Dynex.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Which would be pretty cool, in my view. So
that's awesome. That's very cool. I also saw that you guys were training ChatGPT to help regular people like me. We said this in my interview. I know you have the marketplace, and that can help people like me that aren't coders use Dynex to solve real-world problems. But I also saw that you guys were training ChatGPT to help people like me that don't code, like have it learn how to code the problem that you want it to solve. Is that right?
Yeah, so that actually goes quite nicely with the NLP that we're just discussing, right? Yeah. So basically NLP really does speed up that processing time between questions and answers, right? Mm-hmm. But we're going one step further. We're going to train it to actually code Dynex.
That's awesome.
So the idea being is, right, so you don't code, right?
Nope.
So you don't understand how to code Dynex, right? But you might understand a concept that you want to build, right?
Yes.
So what if you could just ask it a question and it actually write that code for you, and then you could execute that code and have that returned to you immediately?
That's awesome.
Like, changes the way that people could use the system, right? Because suddenly now you open up to just people that have the concept idea and don't have the necessary expertise, right?
Yeah.
And that is going to really open up barriers for what can be run on Dynex, because we're going to have some, I'm pretty sure we're going to have some crazy ideas coming out, right? And that's for me one of those things that we're all pushing for, right? We want to open this up to as many people as we can.
Right.
Therefore, we need to make it almost as like take a box of crayons and draw a picture.
Right.
Like, do you know what I mean? That kind of ease of use, right? You don't need to give it the full picture, you just need to give it the outline.
Right.
And the rest is took care of it for you.
Right.
So, I mean, that's pretty awesome.
That is awesome. That's why I like your project, because you're working with little guys like me. I still mine Dynex. I've been mining it for well over a year now. Yeah. But also, you guys, we're in a perfect spot to talk about this. Actually, like we're talking about like enterprise level players coming in for you guys at some point, hopefully too, right? But I know you can't tell me exactly who, but I know you guys are working with people and talking to them. So is there anything you can tell me about any enterprise partnerships that have been made public yet? Or
So we've talked about a few public ones that we're currently. They were originally assessing us, right? So we can't quite talk about where the state of that is, but one of them was Novartis, which is a big pharmaceutical company over in Europe. They were evaluating Dynex for drug repurposing, for example, right? Which is a big industry in its own right? See, we've got tons of drugs, but we also find that occasionally those drugs can help with other things, right? But it's a bit of a crapshoot at that point, right? It's just by luck of the draw that it happens, right? What if you could simulate a drug for 10 years and know if there's any benefits to anything else? It's an interesting concept, right? And that's just one of the many things that drug repurposing does. But Novartis was evaluating it from a performance standpoint, right? Is it good enough? Is it fast enough? Is it accurate enough? Because accuracy is key when you're talking about drugs, right? One decimal place too many and you could probably kill somebody.
Right.
So everything's got to be done sensibly at that point. But realistically, like, we're talking to anywhere up, well, myself, 60 people last month that I was, different companies that I spoke to.
Wow.
In relation to using Dynex, evaluating Dynex, all that kind of thing, right? So realistically, we're not hanging around. We're, if anything, we're so snowed under with sales talks and technical talks that we're probably going to be busy for the rest of the year. To be fair,
that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. And that's why I appreciate you taking the time to talk with me and walk around. I really appreciate it. So you always speak about things that are true. Like that is another thing that is near and dear to me is that pharmaceutical advancement that it takes too long and it's too complicated of a process for kind of a lot of different reasons. But if Dynex can help solve those problems too, that would be amazing for the healthcare industry as well. So those are some major things that that I'm glad that you guys are working on personally.
Sorry to interrupt your video, but this is a quick word from the sponsor of the video, Crypto Miner Bros. Crypto Miner Bros is a trusted website that I use to buy ASIC miners. They have all kinds of different ASICs that you can buy, and the prices that you see on the site are the all-in shipped prices. When you buy from other places, they don't always include shipping or import duties or any of those things like fees. So you are looking at the shipped price on Crypto Miner Bros. Anyway, check out Crypto Miner Bros. I have a link in the description. It is the official link. Don't get scammed and go to the wrong website. Use the link in the description. It will take you directly to Crypto Miner Bros, and you can punch in my discount code for $60 off your order. Thanks for listening. Now back to your video.
Continuing on, I have been seeing that Dynex is working on getting some new exchange listings. And have you had any luck with that lately, or have you met anybody here that maybe is interesting to talk to?
Yeah, I mean, most of my job every day is making sure that, you know, constant communication with exchanges is possible, and we try and see what we can maybe push a little bit harder when we can and do what we can there. But funnily enough, I've had a couple of conversations here. About an hour ago, I had a really interesting conversation. So that's going to open up some new, shall we say, meetings probably in the next couple of weeks.
Very good.
So that's going to be good.
Very good. That's awesome. I would say that is great or good.
Yeah.
So, okay, that's awesome. That's great news. I mean, you know, exchanges bring liquidity, and liquidity brings, you know, more interested parties that can use Dynex for their own purposes, big enterprise, things like that. So that's all good news for Dynex. So one thing I wanted to ask, because I like using my Tangem wallet, I was wondering if you guys had anything coming out. I know you guys were working on getting Dynex on Tangem. Is there anything that you want to tell me about, like developments with that?
Yeah, so basically, originally we were scheduled for Q2, it was. along with the rest of the ones that were announced. And then obviously it got pushed back, and we quickly found out that what was needed was that Tangem needs to do some upgrades to their current firmware to support our chain.
Okay.
So what we're going to do now is potentially, with our new wrapped token that we announced like last week, we might consider doing it that way, so that basically there'll be a one-to-one bridge. So one wrapped token will equal one native token. Okay. So you send it into the bridge and out comes the other side. So therefore there will only still be the 110 million supply total. There never will be any more effectively at that point.
Right.
But it might give Tangem an option that they can bring on our wrapped token a little sooner,
right.
And then maybe when the native token's available, then maybe we could have both, which would give them the option to also do a wrap and unwrap within their own software. So I'm going to reach out to them over the next few weeks and see whether that's maybe something that they would be keen on doing. But yeah, right now they need to do a bit of an update on their network, on their internal systems, on the cards and their software to be able to support taking the native token. So it's a little bit disappointing, but we're obviously keen to work with them. We still want to work with them. We still want them to support us.
Right.
So, you know, we're more than happy to offer help to them if they needed it, or, you know, we've reached out and already said this, and you know, the feedback was good. So I would say that having Dynex on Tangem is coming. It's just right now we don't know when. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that as soon as Tangem could announce that, I'm pretty sure they'd be keen to probably re-announce it. Okay, cool.
It sounds like you guys are working on it, and you know, some bumps in the road are always going to happen in crypto. You know, the other things that we're getting ready to launch on Tangem were delayed too. You know, some of the other coins that they had announced before. So I think it's kind of like, you know, they give you the idea that they're gonna work on it, but a lot of people seem to like just hold people to it really tightly. But it doesn't affect the problems that Dynex is trying to solve. It's just an extra way you can move it around if you want to.
Yeah, it's just a way to protect your own investment, right? Exactly. So that if you've got something there, now there's an option. And you know, the overall goal was to make it sure that we had a couple of hardware wallet options. We've got one, but we would prefer two.
Right, yeah, more is better, but Dynex is a long-term hold for me, so I don't mind leaving it right where it's at. We're sitting in front of the giant ASIC here, and maybe this is a good way to end the interview, because we're going to go maybe have some dinner together. So I'm thank you for having me. I can't wait to hang out with Yeti and have some dinner. So we are going to sign off for now, and I'm sure that we'll talk again in the future. I'll try to continue to stay up to date on what's going on with Dynex, and anytime I get a chance to talk to Yeti, I'm in. So thanks for joining me today, Yeti. I really appreciate your time.
Yeah, it's good.
Talk to you guys later.
Once again, I want to thank Yeti and the Dynex team for giving me the chance to walk through and talk to them at Mining Disrupt 2024. It was great catching up. And if you guys want to see some more crypto content, I got a ton of it. Consider subscribing to the channel. If you enjoyed the content, please hit the like button. And don't forget to keep it decentralized for the greater good.
The greater good.